We're talking about a book today that was, well, literally never meant to be read by anyone else.
Mhm.
Yet it might be one of the most powerful guides to inner peace written in the last 2 millennia.
It's a huge paradox.
It is. So when you pick up a text this old, a cornerstone of Stoic thought, are you just reading philosophy, or are you actually being, I don't know, disciplined by a private conversation?
And that's the perfect word for it, disciplined. We are, of course, talking about Meditations by the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius. This isn't a formal book, it's a fiercely private notebook.
Just spiritual exercises.
Yeah, like written in this intense, compact, second-person self-talk. He's talking to himself.
And that's why we're here. This is going to be an extended analysis. We're going to go beyond just summarizing.
Right.
So enjoy a bold new take on book coverage with this analysis.
Yeah.
It's more than just a summary, though we do include that. This feature really examines how the author shapes his argument, builds influence, and, crucially, earns or loses your trust.
Giving you the tools to read with sharper insight. That's the goal, should you read this book. This should help. And for any aspiring writers out there, pay close attention to his strategic choices. If you find this format valuable, please, we'd love to hear from you. Your feedback really helps guide our future content.
And just for clarity, as we begin, you are experiencing a unique two-host AI conversation, powered by Google's Notebook LM for deeper, more dynamic book analysis.
Okay, let's jump straight in. For anyone who needs the basics, Meditations. It's a collection of notes written in Greek, 2nd century CE, by one of the most powerful men in the world.
A Roman emperor writing in Greek, which is interesting in itself.
It is, and it covers core Stoic themes. Mortality, rationality, living according to nature, but that's just the information. It doesn't really capture why it feels so urgent.
Well, the urgency comes from the rhetorical situation itself. You have to look at his dual status.
As emperor and call it what?
As emperor, the ultimate political power, and at the same time as this struggling practitioner of Stoicism, he's often irritated, he's tired, and he's trying to force these ancient doctrines onto his immense daily responsibility.
And he wasn't sitting in some quiet, idyllic library, was he?
Oh, not at all. He was composing these notes during active military campaigns, mostly on the empire's northern frontiers around 170 to 180 CE.
So the context is war.
War, plague, personal illness, the death of loved ones, and just the crushing burden of a very unstable empire. So the need for this book, the exigence, it was existential. This was a tool for immediate inner survival.
Not intellectual poetry.
No, a lifeline.
So he wrote it only to himself. We are, for all intents and purposes, reading his diary. What does that mean for the book's purpose?
Ostensibly, yes, the audience is a future version of Marcus Aurelius who needs reminding of these principles.
No, it's therapeutic.
Purely. It's not meant to teach Stoicism to the world. It's meant to internalize the doctrine until it becomes automatic, until it changes his perception and actions. We, as modern readers, are just eavesdropping.
Which is why it feels so intimate. This really moves us into the core of the analysis. How does someone writing only to himself build an ethos, an authority, that's strong enough to influence millions, thousands of years later?
Well, his ethos doesn't come from being a great philosopher. It comes from lived authority.
What do you mean by that?
He's not writing as a professor in a quiet study. He's the CEO of the known world, testing Stoicism under the highest possible stress. When he talks about dealing with difficult people, he means senators and generals, not just an annoying neighbor.
That gives it incredible weight.
It does.
But wait, if he's so honest about his failures, admitting he's lazy or gets irritated or is judgmental, doesn't that risk making him look weak? Doesn't that undermine his authority?
You'd think so, but that's the crucial point. That's how he earns our trust. His repeated admissions of weakness, of fear, they paradoxically strengthen his credibility.
Because he's not pretending.
He never poses as a finished sage. He shows us the work, the struggle, not just the perfect finished product. Because he's so transparent about how hard it is, we trust that his advice is realistic and hard-won.
Not just some airy theory. Let's talk about his voice, the tone. It's pretty heavy, isn't it?
It is. It's generally austere, didactic, and you can feel how weary he is. The burden of the office is always there.
But it's not just that.
No. The real persuasive strategy is in the tonal oscillation, the way he shifts between that severity and a kind of consolation.
The moments of tenderness.
Yes, exactly. The dominant voice is often severe. Get back to work, Marcus. Stop being distracted. Remember, you are mortal. Harsh self-talk.
But then he pulls back.
He does. He punctuates it with moments of almost mystical reverence for the cosmos, for the rational order of nature. He reminds himself that the universe is fundamentally good and ordered. That movement from the personal grind to cosmic awe is what keeps you hooked.
It prevents it from just being a grim list of self-criticisms.
Right.
The kind of discipline Marcus demands, it sounds exhausting. If you appreciate this level of focused mental effort, this would be a great time to check out Mindful Moments.
That's our YouTube channel.
Yes, our YouTube channel. It offers AI, book analysis, summaries, critiques, all designed to inspire reflection and rational thought. It's a perfect companion for digging into complex ideas like these.
Okay, so let's dive into his toolkit, the actual structural choices that shape how we read the book.
It's not a linear argument at all. It's more like a stack of index cards.
A very apt description. The fragmentary structure of these 12 books are just collections of short entries without a clear progression.
It feels like skimming his soul's to-do list, and it requires real effort from you, the reader.
And that fragmentation is, I think, intentional. It mirrors the stop-start nature of self-scrutiny. It forces you into an active role.
Yeah.
You can't just passively absorb it. You have to stitch the themes together yourself.
So the form of the book actually makes you practice the philosophy.
Precisely. You have to use your own logic to make sense of his notes.
And then there's his relentless use of the second person. He's always commanding himself, which means he feels like he's commanding us.
That direct address, that imperative voice, do not let your mind be distracted. Remember that you are dust. Each entry becomes a little micro-homily.
Yeah.
For us, reading it today, it creates this uncanny feeling of being directly commanded to stop, reflect, and reconsider your own judgments right now, in real time.
It just cuts through any intellectual distance. And that directness is paired with so much repetition. He hits the same themes over and over. Life is short. We all share reason, accept others' flaws. Was he just that forgetful?
Far from it. That deliberate redundancy is a core part of the practice. It's Stoic habituation.
Training the mind.
Yes. Persuasion here is achieved through rhythm and recurrence, not through new ideas. He's retraining his mind to automatically see the world through a Stoic lens. And by reading it, he's training ours too.
He's the ultimate mental drill sergeant.
He is.
Okay, let's talk pathos, emotional appeal. Stoicism is supposed to be about detachment, but his imagery can be really stark, almost shocking. Corpses, rotting meat, the complete erasure of fame. It sounds morbid.
It does. But while the language is restrained, he is quietly mobilizing emotion with those images. They're tools for rhetorical detachment.
How so?
He might look at a fancy silk robe and remind himself that it's just the hair of a dead sheep stained with shellfish blood. The goal isn't to be morbid, it's to strip away the glamour, to detach you emotionally from status, luxury, and the fear of death.
If you see a silk robe as just dead animal hair, you won't chase after it.
You won't. It turns that starkness into a kind of liberation.
And finally, what about the logos, the logic? How does he build rational arguments when everything is so compressed?
The logic is squeezed into these immediate syllogistic reminders. He turns complex philosophy into, as you said, mental drills you can recall instantly.
What's the core logic?
It's always a variation on the same theme. Premise A. Nature is orderly and rational. Premise B. Humans are part of that rational nature. Conclusion. Therefore, living rationally and virtuously is our obligation. It's natural.
Can you give us a quick example of that as a drill?
Sure. Think of a sudden irritation, like someone insults you. The mental drill is, premise A, anything outside my judgment is indifferent. Premise B, this insult is just an external event, coming from another person's flawed judgment. Conclusion, I must remain indifferent to it and not let anger dominate me.
He's training himself to run those logical steps instantly.
To convert raw experience into a Stoic action, yes.
So we've gone through the information, the rhetorical analysis. What's the ultimate understanding here? Why does this matter beyond just being an ancient self-help book?
Well, it matters because of the genre itself. This isn't just a diary or a handbook. At its heart, each note is a philosophical exercise.
Meant to reshape you, not just inform you.
Exactly. That's why you have to keep coming back to it as a daily discipline. You don't just read it once, you use it to practice.
And he also roots his own resilience in something much bigger than himself.
He does. He constantly reinforces that his struggle isn't a lonely one. He alludes to Socrates, to other Stoics, to themes of cosmic order and the common logos or universal reason. He's signaling that our inner freedom depends on aligning with a shared rational order that's beyond just us.
Which leads to the book's ultimate achievement, its lasting impact.
I think so. The book models an ethics of inner freedom and mutual obligation that just cuts across rank and time.
Hmm.
The central idea that if we all share this common logos, we are all members of a single moral community.
A universal city.
It becomes a practical argument for treating everyone as a fellow citizen. He uses logic to dissolve hierarchy.
And that is why it stays so philosophically alive. The book trains you to resist being dominated, whether by your own anger, your fear of death, or the social pecking order.
It aligns the self with freedom, equality, and brotherhood.
An incredible legacy for a document that was never supposed to be published.
A profound guide to living an examined life.
So, let's leave you with a final thought to consider. Is it possible that the most trustworthy voice isn't the finished, perfect sage, but the powerful person who is utterly honest about their daily, messy struggle to live up to their own principles?
Something to think about as you navigate your own empire.
Click the link on screen for the in-depth book summary. Subscribe, share, purchase via link, and think rationally.
See the many genre-based book podcasts at Mindful Moments. Subscribe and nurture your mind on the go.